Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're looking at the Iron Man Mark 46 from SH Figuarts. This is the Captain America Civil War version of Iron Man. I know many of you are really excited for this figure. I was myself. I think it's a really nice suit design for Iron Man, so I was really hoping that they would take what they did with the Mark 45, which was a pretty solid figure with a few issues, and fix all the issues and make a really nice Iron Man figure. And I have to tell you, they fixed some of the issues and made some entirely new ones. So we have plenty to talk about here, so let's get him off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, this guy stands in at just about 6 1/4 inches. Of course, you can adjust that by adjusting the way his torso is aligned and things like that, but it's really close to that measurement, which makes him just shy of 16 centimeters. I will take some photos at the end to show you this guy up against the old Mark 45 Iron Man, and also against the new Captain America from Civil War, so you guys will have an idea about that. Now, this guy, right off the bat, first glance, the paints are pretty good. The red is a really nice kind of pearlescent red. The gold is pretty nicely metallic. It's kind of a flat metallic, same thing for the silver. But, well, it's not flat, but it's not super shiny or glossy or anything like that. So that's pretty cool looking. It's nice contrast. The arc reactor is kind of a recessed silver underneath some clear, so that looks pretty good. And then the eyes are the same way. It's just clear plastic. So that doesn't look so good. It looks like the suit's not on, not powered up. So I have to say that's a huge detractor for me. The Mark 45 had some painted eyes in there, and this guy doesn't. You know what? I'm going to pull it out right now just so you guys can see. If I had a nickel every time I said that. You can see the 45 has a little bit of paint in there to give it a little bit of a look. This guy, none. So that's kind of a bummer. It looks like it should have a battery in there and should light up, but it doesn't. So it's a bit of a bummer. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to consider. Before we look at the figure anymore, though, let's talk about the accessories. We have the two fist hands that come on the figure. We have two kind of relaxed, loose, open hands. We have two less relaxed, open hands. And then we have the two blast effect hands with the pegs in them. Now, the good thing about this guy is his hand repulsors are painted. The 45 did not have them painted, which was a big bummer. These are, so that's a nice feature. As far as blast effects go, we have one for each foot, and then we have small ones and large ones for the hands, and so you can use those for varying poses. It's up to you. They do seem to connect to the hands slightly better than before. They're not quite so much coming out of the palm, the bottom part of the palm, as they are the center, so that's a little bit good. And they generally have a good paint job. A couple of them have some issues here and there with the paint, but they look pretty nice. So it's not the most advanced batch of accessories, but it's pretty good. So let's get into the figure now. I already talked about how the paints look pretty good on this guy. There are some issues though, so we can zoom in right here and I'll show you. It's a little disappointing. I've got red coming over on top of the gold right there, and it just doesn't look great. And it's not as clean, anywhere near as clean as it should be. You can see on this side, it's really clean and looks great. On this side, it's a little muddy. So I'm thinking they should do a better job of that, right? I mean, that's kind of what they're known for, is high quality figures. We shouldn't have big bummers like that. It's not a deal breaker though still, so let's continue. The sculpt, while it's not perfectly accurate, it does look pretty darn good. You can see he's bulkier than the other suit. I'm going to bring it over here again just because, and you guys know I liked the other suit, and I think it wasn't perfectly accurate, but still really nice. And this one definitely adds the bulk of the new suit, so that's pretty cool. And I imagine most of you are going to be kind of considering between the two, so that's why I keep doing the comparison. You know, which one should I buy, the 45 or the 46? Well, you know, it's really going to end up being up to you, but we're going to go through the articulation now so you guys have the full information to make your decision. Here's one of the things that bugs me about these guys. It's not uncommon for the Iron Man figures to have goofy neck pegs, and I don't know why. The War Machine was particularly bad. This one's not much better. You can see right into, or right through his neck. And I don't know if I'm at the right angle for you guys to see that, but the peg sticks up and the head does not come down to the neck, and the head is mostly hollow. So it just doesn't, here you can kind of see from that angle. Most of the time you're gonna see the double ball peg that's in there. Yes, it has really good range. Do we need that range? I don't know. I think I would rather not have that giant gap in there. If you pose him in a flight pose, you're gonna see right into his head. Hopefully, I don't think you guys are actually able to see. kind of from that angle. It creates a lot of shadows, obviously, because the head's a hollow bucket, basically. So it does look good. You get the good range, but then seeing that peg looks really bad, so it's kind of a drawback. The neck is on a single peg, and it'll just move around with the head. It doesn't have the greatest range, but it's definitely enough, except for the fact that you can see down into the chest again. Why do they keep doing that? Stop doing that. It doesn't look good. That's not a good voice to use. I'm going to stop that right away. I don't like that. I think it should definitely not have a big gap in the chest and not have a big gap in the neck. You put him in that pose and he looks like he's broken. So it is disappointing. If you put him in the standard kind of a hero pose, it's going to look fine though. So you can decide for yourself if that's a problem for you. It's not a great design, objectively speaking. For the shoulders, there's not much new in terms of engineering. We still have that sliding hinge. It's not a hinge really, but you can slide the shoulder out a little bit farther. That will give you more clearance for the shoulder pad. If you want it to look good, push it in and everything looks good. So that's nice. Shoulder pad is independently hinged. It doesn't float around at all. It's connected to the shoulder, but that's a good thing. You bring the shoulder forward, shoulder pad goes with it. Everything looks great. All shoulder pads should be some variation of this design. They should never, ever, never, ever, ever, never, ever connect to the torso. So this is good. I like this a bunch. You get good range. You bring the arm all the way out. It might pop up, but you can put it back down. And it looks good. I mean, it's not perfect. It won't be because it's plastic and not CGI, but it looks really good and there's not much better you can do with that. So I'm very happy with that. It is a ball peg too, so you can move the arm all the way around like that. You have your bicep swivel, full range of motion pretty much. Can't really get too much better than that for the shoulder. Very pleased with that. Double jointed elbow gives him really good range. You can see right there, he brings the arm almost all the way up. Here's the thing, that elbow design is fugly. It is not good. I don't know what they were thinking. Why do they have that big flap right there? Let me move the arm around so I can show you a little bit better. That flap that sticks down, that should permanently be there and maybe cut out, but that should not, it looks good only when the arm is straight. That should definitely not have this tab right here. And it should not have this tab back here. Obviously, again, it's not a deal breaker, but it's just a really poor choice in design. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't really add much, so it's not ideal. For the wrist, let's pop the hand off to show you the wrist. We have a ball peg. Basic, simple ball peg. Not going to really do too much. One thing I want to mention on the hands on this guy, I mentioned it on the 45, I think also. I feel like these guards on the top of the hands are way oversized. I don't remember them being that big in the movie, especially if you look at like, not that hand, this hand right here. Let me zoom in so you can see that, even though you already looked at these. I want to talk about this just for a second because we're known for talking about all the details here, and that's what we're going to do. That guard goes all the way out to the tips of his fingers. I don't think it was like that in the movie. So that's one of those things it's not a big deal, but it is, it's slightly inaccurate, so it's worth noting. All right, so far we're doing all right. Not really too many problems other than that neck issue. For the torso, we have a little bit of lean back, not a whole lot, but some. A little bit of lean forward, and then the lower torso can lean a lot more forward and a lot more back. So that's pretty good. There is some side-to-side movement in both joints, so that's good. And the upper torso joint can extend just a little bit, but it doesn't really add much. So if you want to give him a little bit of extra height, you can do that. You'll create a little bit of a gap back here. But it doesn't really add that much play, so I'm not sure why they bothered. It's not bad, but it's not good. Here is one thing that is bad, though. Their new design for his diaper area, which most figures have because you have to incorporate the articulation somehow, not great because his back comes down at that V, and then as soon as you lean him forward, you're looking right into his colon, which is not good. You don't want to see Iron Man's colon. It's not terrible because I imagine you're not going to look at the figure from the back too often. You can see it provides for good range, but it definitely isn't the best looking butt area on an Iron Man. And the diaper does look a bit too big maybe, but that's not really a thing, so I wouldn't worry about that. So just be aware that you're going to be able to see inside, maybe see what he had for lunch, so just be aware of that. For the hips, it's the same general engineering. You have that pull down hinge, so it's that hinge ball peg. You can bring them down, which is cool because you can bring them really far forward. So if you really, really, really need to get that pose, you can do it. Once you bring them down, you can bring them really far out to the side also. So the range is there. And it's not terrible even when the leg's up. You can get it pretty far well enough. But here's the thing. This hip area is not well designed. That silver bit in there is a lot smaller than the rest of everything. So there's a whole lot of gaps. And once you get it posed, you won't notice it so much. But it is very much hollow in a lot of places. So it's not ideal. You do get the ball peg connecting to the silver, which gives you most of your range. And then you get that joint that we've seen before where it's just another ball peg going into the hip. That's to allow for some more range, but it's just, there's a little bit too much showing. You can see right there, let me see if I can get the right angle. You can see right through his leg. There's a lot of gapping going on. So I'm not sure if it's a good trade-off to get that better range with all of that showing. I feel like they might have been able to do a little bit better, but again, that's going to be a judgment call for you. If you really want the range and you can kind of hide that in posing him, then I think you should go for it. That's like I said, it's up to you. For the knees, it's not super new. I mean, we've seen this before. They have really good range, but it's a really ugly knee joint. You end up with that huge flat knee with no shape to it really at all. And the reason is, and this, I think I mentioned this in the last video, the way they have the hinge is so far back in the knee, they have to add all this extra plastic to fill in the gap. If they had the hinge right in the center of the knee, or in the center of the thigh and center of the calf, you would have much less need for that extra plastic, and it would look much better. So they should have gone that route. For the ankles, we have the standard hinge, we have a rotation, and we have the true ankle rocker. None of it works particularly well, but it all works well enough. We have a hinge for the flap here and a toe hinge, so pretty good range there. So all in all, it's a really good figure with some issues that you're going to have to consider, but I do like it a whole bunch, and whether or not this one's better than the last one, you're going to have to decide for yourself. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos every single day, so come back for all that good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.